are very special, but I'm going to start with a quote. They say you can see your enemies from miles away. It's your friends who sneak up on you. Maybe. Maybe it's just hard when you're working the streets to know who your friends really are. So begins the introduction to Rise to Grace, an incredible memoir by Angel Huertas, a genuine street story. You know, real isn't about when you're born, real is what happens to you. Welcome, Angel Huertas.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Angel, I have to start off by saying that it is a privilege to have you here, but what I really love about you is that you're allowing me to get that window into your world.
For sure.
And in addition to that, I'm going to be checking into your soul. And you are allowing me to go through as much as I want from this incredible memoir, which is you're getting involved in street gangs, selling drugs, and learning what it really is to be a man.
I'm allowing you to go very deep.
You're allowing me. And the reason for that, Angel, is because?
We want to empower our youth. We want them to know the reality of the streets.
You were betrayed by men that you thought were your friends, your group. You were shot 3 times, you died twice, and came back to life. Very quickly, why do you think you were allowed to live?
God saw, God has a plan for all of us, all right? And that's an amazing question that you asked, because at the end of the day, I know people that get shot 1 time in the leg and they're dead. Me, I get shot the way I got shot and I'm still here. So I believe it's because the pureness of my heart, all right? Even though I was selling drugs the way I was selling drugs, I was taking that money and giving it out to the poor people. So at the end of the day, the Lord definitely has a plan for me. What that plan is, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay, and that's something that's going to take a lifelong process to figure out. Was there a time, because now you are married to the beautiful Lupe, you have your baby son.
2 beautiful boys.
You have 2 boys now, but at that time,
it was just
you
one
had
boy.
1 baby. Was there a time that you really thought you wouldn't make it?
There was a time, no, when you're in that life, you don't think about dying or anything like that, because you have so much power at the time that you don't think that somebody can get you. It's like what you just read. They say you could see your enemies coming from miles away. It's your friends that sneak up on you. I had to learn that the hard way. And in fact, I start off my book with that. All right, they say you could see your enemies coming.
Right.
Those are the most powerful words in my book, because at the end of the day, I saw my enemies when I was on the floor bleeding. So I had to learn the hard way.
You know, there's so many themes and then there's so many topics, but one that has to resonate is absolute power corrupts absolutely.
That's right.
There comes a point where you think that you're bigger than everything else that's there, and we're going to be talking about that. I also would like to ask you, did you ever think that you would be speaking with me, talking about a book and sharing, chronicling all of your experiences?
Absolutely not. I never thought that would happen. It's just something that just came about. You know, a young man inspired me to write the introduction of the book, and when he did that, you know, it was the impact that it had on him. It was so amazing that I said, you know what? I'm going to have to write an autobiography of my life as a way of empowering our youth and giving back to our kids.
I would love right now to show the trailer for your book. So let's take a look at that trailer and then we can address it.
All right, let's do that. Here it is. They say you can see your enemies coming from miles away. It's your friends that sneak up on you. Maybe. Maybe it's just hard when you work in the streets to know who your friends really are. It was just before 10 p.m. on a Friday night. I was finishing up my daily rounds with my brother Nando when I got the call from Puerto Rock to go and see him at his place. If you were involved in the same business as I was, then in person, that's the only way to talk. Nando wanted to come inside the building with me. I told him to chill out. Just keep the car warm. It's Puerto Rock, for Christ's sake. This guy's part of my team. The night before, I was having dinner with his wife and his 2 kids. I get to Porter Rock's apartment and I give it a knock. Yo, Chulo, open the door. It's me, Angel. I can hear someone walk towards the door. Then I hear a click. I know that sound like I know my own voice. Nah, couldn't be. A second later, Porter Rock opens the door and he pushes me into the dark hallway and starts going off. It's obvious he has been smoking dope all day. Now he wants to argue with me about one of the spots. I'm telling him he is crazy and he needs to chill the hell out. He doesn't listen, and now he's taking it too far. Right then I notice his right eye twitched. Porter Rock eye always twitches before something serious is about to go down. Porter Rock backs up and pulls out a Glock 9. I have no choice. I back up and tell him, don't do it. Then he says, it's over, playboy. I'm as good as dead and he knows it. I know it. He aims the gun right at my head and whispers, fuck you. I squeeze my eyes shut. He pulls the trigger. Nothing. His gun jams. I make it to the front door and it flies open. There, on the other side, is Nando. He grabs me and yanks me from the building. What a nightmare. Just one problem. I'm not asleep. This is real. Every heart-pounding second is as real as anything that ever was. With Nando pulling on my arm, I somehow managed to half run, half stumble about 2 blocks before collapsing. Come on, Angel, keep running, he begs me. You got to. He pulls on my arm. I look up at him. His eyes are desperate, scared. But I can't. I just can't run anymore. I can see that I have fallen outside of a small church, and there were people starting to come out. That day was Good Friday, one of the holiest days of the year. The last thing I remember seeing was this lady's face, telling me to pray to God. Pray to God. God will forgive you. I wanted to pray, but before I can, I was swept up by darkness. Where am I? Is this heaven or worse? I open up my eyes to a soft purple fluorescent light. It takes me a moment, but I realize that I'm not dead. Now I'm sitting in the back of an ambulance. Oh my God, am I shot? Did this just happen? All of a sudden, the back door pops open and 2 paramedics were loading the body in the back. As I look closer, that body was me. Oh God, no. Am I having an out-of-body experience? Give me a second chance. I will be a better man, I promise. Please don't take me now. What about my wife? What about my son? Come on, the paramedic shouts at my lifeless body as he begins to press down urgently on my chest. I can hear the other paramedics scream. Hurry up, we need to get him out of here. This guy's going to die on us. Please, no. I tried to resist, but I am so weak. I can't hold my eyes open. An evil voice cries out.
You're mine now and forever.
And then, just like that, everything went black. "21 years ago, Playboy Angel died. Today, as a man that stands in front of you, my name is Angel Huertas, and I'm here to tell you my story. My story about the mean streets of Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Bushwick, my streets. At least that was what I believed and how I played it to be. My mission today is to save kids. Those kids that are thinking about joining a gang, selling drugs, picking up a gun. I'm here to say, hey, before you think about doing that, pick up my book, Rise to Grace. It's a very powerful street story. It talks about my life and growing up in the streets, growing up in poverty, growing up around gangs. Go out and pick up the book, Rise to Grace. It's going to save you. It's going to save our youth.
Angel, you saw the video, share with us. Very important question. Now, as a former high school educator, I know that teenagers especially, instant gratification. And let's face it, we live in a society. Mm-hmm. We don't like something, we throw it away. We want something, we want it immediately. Mm-hmm. So how do you address the issue of telling kids that they should be working, good kids, make some money, when you admit in the book that in 4 hours you were making $1,500, which was more than 2 months of your salary. How do you address that?
Well, you see, that's a good question. You see, a lot of these kids, they get lost with the street code. When they first go into it, they think that it's all glamour, and they think that it's all power, and the streets are going to show them love. But at the end of the day, they're lost because that's a lie. All right? When you get into it, yeah, you see all this money. You see this explosion of money. And what comes with money? Power, women, the street life, the rock star life. But then at the end, right, where you're on top of the world, you see, you can't always be on top of the world. All right? At one time, that world is going to crumble. The question is, when does it crumble? It'll either crumble with the police, or it's going to crumble with your friends. Now, my thing is, when I first got into it, okay, it was the power. I saw the money, $1,500 in 4 hours. It was unbelievable. But if somebody would have said, hey, you know what? Later down the line, that $1,500 is going to end up killing you. It's going to take your soul away. I would have never did it, but I didn't have that. And that's why I wrote the book, Rise to Grace, to empower these kids, to tell them the truth about the street, the street code. You want to know about the street code? Pick up Rise to Grace.
Well, let's keep it real. Let's go back to June of '72. You're just a few years old. Mm-hmm. You're in Flatbush Avenue?
Mm-hmm. Flatbush,
Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And there is a homeless shelter very close to where you're living.
Connected to the building that where I live.
Connected to the same building.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mom has 6 kids?
Yes.
Okay, you're on welfare.
Correct.
Okay, now you're inside there.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens that hot, steamy night? You're just a few years old.
Mm-hmm. We moved into this apartment to get away from my father, who was mentally and physically abusive,
we're going to talk about
to my mother. So as a way of getting away, she moved into this apartment, and didn't know that the apartment that she moved into was connected to a homeless shelter.
Nobody checked on that.
Nobody checked on that.
Nobody checked on it. We're talking about 19...
Yes, 72, 73,
okay.
Yes.
All right.
And one night, while we were sleeping, first of all, the buildings were connected. In the back of the buildings where my room was, these buildings were so close together that if you opened up your window in my room and you open up the window in the shelter, you can easily take one step and come into our room. And that's what a man did one night. He came in and you read the book. He came in
a few times.
Yeah, many times, like 7 times, I think.
Because every time I read it, Angel, I get something else out of it.
Well, that's the plan, and thank you very much for taking the time. So he came in, and he actually tied up my sister, and he stabbed my grandmother in the face, and it was this whole, it was like one big nightmare.
How old are you, about 4 years old?
I was about 4 years old.
About 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to protect your sister.
Absolutely.
You're petrified, and you can't do it. So where do you go?
I went under the bed. When this man came in, I went right under the bed, and I was in disbelief. I was frozen in disbelief because I could not believe what I was seeing. And then I saw him taking a knife and tearing the sheets. And he started taking the cloths and tying up my sister. And while he was tying up my sister, my grandmother had heard the tear of the sheets. And she got up from bed with my little brother, Nando, who was, I think, 4 or 5 months old. And she started screaming. When she started screaming, the man attacked my grandmother, and he stabbed her in the face. Yeah, so it was. I actually saw that whole thing. It was a nightmare. That was a nightmare.
Now we're going to continue on from there because you developed a bedwetting problem from that.
Absolutely. I peed in the bed till I was about 13 years old.
Totally understandable. And I think today, the things that we know, you would probably go to get help for it.
Absolutely.
The whole family would get help.
But coming from a family that that's caught up in the welfare system, can't really afford to take you to the right doctors, so we dealt with it.
And I think there's even more to it. Mom is a single parent trying to take care of everybody. And you know, and as a parent, sometimes what you want to do is just say, enough already, let's move on. But
Right.
how does a child move on?
How do you move on?
How do you move on? Everyone's scarred from that.
You know what? We look back at that, and you know, there was a lot of family issues throughout the years. And you know, now that we're grown up and we understand life, you know, it always takes us back to that moment, to where that happened, and the turmoil that caused in one's mind.
And the fear, and the
fear,
bedwetting,
fear.
and the anxiety.
My mother used to put a pamper on me till I was 13 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
13 years old, she used to put a pamper on me. And one day she was like, when is this going to stop?
Oh, let's stop.
How do I
So
know?
today, if there's any kind of trauma like that, immediately
Absolutely,
get help.
immediately get
That's
help.
a message right
You
there.
have to.
Right.
Something like that happens, you gotta see a professional. You gotta go see somebody professional. It's mandatory.
And as mom is in charge of the family,
Right.
she probably felt some shame, and
Absolutely.
I understand that. She wanted to protect you.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk too about, you mentioned you're on welfare. I mean, there's poor and there's poor. And many times you will hear people saying things like, well, we didn't have any money, but you know what, we had each other, it was the best time ever. We're not talking about that.
Well, one doesn't know
What
you're being born into poorness or anything like that. One doesn't
Yeah,
know.
we don't know
Some
that.
kids are born in
Right.
the ghetto. Some kids are born in Hollywood. But at the end of the day, I realized I was poor when I went to school.
That's where other kids would notice you.
That's where all the kids would notice me.
Well, let's go back too. I mean, we're talking about your mom trying to make ends meet. This is a woman struggling to make ends meet.
was very tough
10
for her.
pounds of rice, 1 month, 6 children.
But you know what? Even with all the struggles and everything, and I want to go on record right now, Mom,
Please.
I love you, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you, and at the end of the day, I want you to know that, you know, even with all your struggles, all right, you made something of your life, and I want to say thank you, Mom, because without you, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be here.
Your mom
So
is an
thank you.
educator, right? She went
My
back
mom,
to
yes,
school
my mom
became an educator.
She went after we all left the house. Well, not after we all left. After she threw us out. Okay, 'cause
Okay.
let's keep it real.
Yeah, we are, and we're going to get
Okay?
to that. Absolutely.
She threw us out of the house, and she went back to school, got her degree, and became a school teacher. And I'm very
Incredible.
proud of you.
Incredible. Family is such an important issue. You know, as a former educator, Angel, I remember for open school night talking to the parents and saying, you know, when you're at dinner, kids tell you what's going on in school. And a lot of times there is not that family dinner where we can share. And I know that the absence of your father affected you tremendously.
Tremendously.
And one of the reasons we're doing this show is to talk to people out there and get that message out. But your father, love-hate relationship, let's talk about a couple of times that you do recall your dad and what you remember about him.
Well, my father, you know, I've said this before, he wasn't a good man, you know. There's only 2 memories that I have of my father, and one of them was when he bought me the big wheel. It was an amazing
bike.
moment, okay? And the other time, which is something that I carry in my heart, was the time that he was taking me a shower, and he said something to me that I basically put it throughout the book. He says, Angel, there's something special about you. And I didn't understand what that meant. But then it was followed by, your mother and I are not going to make it. But I want you to know that I'm always going to be here for you. And I remember him grabbing me and hugging me. And I felt that love of a father. But I did not understand what he was saying, because how do you understand? You know, you're 3.5, 4 years old. You know, how do you understand this? And before you know it, he was gone. That was it.
Many children feel when their parents split up, it's their fault. Was there any of that, or not really because it was too confusing, too young?
I was too young. I was too young to understand the breakup or anything like that. I just heard a lot of rumors. You know, your father's a bad man. Your father hits women. You know, I saw my mother I saw my grandmother one day with a cast on her arm. And the rumors were that my father did that. So you know, you get to lose love for a father, you know, when you start hearing rumors like this. And then him being absent was really not good for me.
Years later, you are selling drugs, and there's your dad on a crack line. And he does die at age 48, but not before he does reach out. What happened there, Angel?
Well, the time that he reached out, it was literally too late for him. All right, well, that was my mind process. That's the way I was thinking. And, you know, I've given him many opportunities to straighten out his life, all right, to, you know, change for his kids. And when I saw that it wasn't going anywhere, I was like, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. So I would walk in and out of his life the way he would walk in and out of my
Your
life.
life. Right.
All right, because that was something that was shown to me from him. So one day I go into a friend's building and I see him on a crack line. I'm like, what are you doing here? And this is after he promised me that he wasn't going to sell drugs anymore, that he wasn't going to take the drugs anymore. Here he is on a crack line. I was so heartbroken, all right, and it just put me to think in so many ways. But I was fed up with him. That was it. And one day his wife calls me up and says, I need help with your father. So I was so angry because I've been there so many times for the same thing. So I get to the house and we start to argue about him taking drugs. So I said, that's it, I'm done, I'm out of here. I want nothing to do with you anymore. And I remember opening that door and slamming it. And he lived in the projects. He lived in Bushwick Projects. And when I slammed the door, he opened it, and my father was calling out my name. And he was saying, Angel, please don't go. Please don't go. Give me a second chance, and I'll be the father that you want me to be. But being young and dumb and didn't understand what that meant, you know, because I thought that my itch didn't stink. I had that mentality. So I continued to walk away. And it would be something that I would regret for the rest of my life, because in walking away, 12 hours later, my father died. So I had to live with that anger. I had to live with that pain for many, many years.
There's guilt. There's that thin line between love and hate.
Oh,
and
my
all
God.
you wanted was that father
I just
figure.
wanted him to be in my life, and that was it. And so about a couple of years ago, you know, after the book was written, I decided that I would pay homage to my father. And one day I went to his funeral, his burial, that I haven't gone to in so many years because I didn't care. But one day I woke up and I said, you know what? This will be the day that I forgive you. This will be the day that you will know in heaven that you have been forgiven. So I had my team put together a song that's called Gotta Let Go. Because at the end, you have to let go of all that anger.
We're going to talk about that.
And I was able to forgive myself and to forgive him with this song that we put together.
Let's take a look at that video. We have Jashana, we have Cassius, and
we have myself, Angel.
And you,
Angel
and-
Huertas.
yeah.
And the whole Rise to Grace
Rise to
team
Grace
is in here.
team.
Yeah, check it out. It's an amazing video.
Crazy how I had to use a pen and pad just to reveal the way I really feel about my dad. Did I hate him? Did I love him? Did he make me sad? Did I get to tell him that I forgave him before he passed? I've been through a lot of shit, man, I needed you. You told me I was something special, and man, I believed it too. I hugged you when I told you I loved you. Do you remember that? And getting the three-wheel bike is what I remember as something good. Everything else just sound bad. The way you treated mommy, did she really deserve that? Good example, right? Do you think my wife deserved that? How the heck you expect me to treat her after seeing that? My sister got attacked in the apartment and I seen the man. Where the f was your arms when we needed it. Probably gripping the bottle while I was scared. This probably wouldn't happen with you here. That's real shit.
Pain, I had hurt, felt my soul getting cold, but I gotta let go. I knew I gotta let go. I had pain, I had hurt, felt my soul getting cold, but I gotta let go. I knew I gotta let go.
It's crazy how you make the streets raise me. Broken home, but I couldn't let the streets break me. It made me who I am, so maybe who I am is the result of you leaving. So I had to become a man. You wasn't there to walk me to school on the first day. Where were you when people was chasing me all day? I know my mama made it really hard for you to find me. The shit I've been through will make anybody think you find me. You came into my life when I was grown about a few times. It was crazy when I saw you in that crack line. You was swearing to me just the other day that you was never gonna do this shit another day. I hated you so much, but yet I wanted you here in my life. Hoping everything will be alright. Is that a pipe dream? It might seem that I ain't really give a F about you. Deep down, I couldn't live without
I
you.
had pain, I had hurt, felt my soul getting cold, but I gotta let go. I knew I gotta let go. I had pain, I had hurt, felt my soul getting cold, but I gotta let go. I knew I gotta let go.
The day your wife told me that you was sick, I swear to God, I wish that I could just ignore this shit. I couldn't, so I did what any loving son would do. I got up and I made sure my destination was you. The moment when I saw you standing there and throwing up, I couldn't believe this was the man when I was growing up. Arms scrawny, stomach swollen, talking like death is hit. I was angry, I was sad, man, I was really scared. Everything I was saying, you wasn't trying to hit. And everything you was saying, I wasn't trying to hit. Got the nerve to ask me where the f have I been? Where the f was my father the days I needed him? What kind of son am I? What kind of pops is you? I'm about to lose all the f***ing respect I have for you. I finally turned my back on my dad. He said he's sorry and he loved me and I said nothing
I
back.
had
Crazy.
pain, I had hurt, felt my soul getting cold, but I gotta let go. I knew I gotta let go. I had pain, I had hurt, felt my soul getting cold, but I gotta let go. I knew I gotta let go. I still see your face when I close my eyes, and despite your mistakes, I still pray you for your wings to fly. I had pain, I had hurt, felt my soul getting cold, but I gotta let go. I knew I gotta let go. I had pain, I had hurt, felt my soul getting cold, but I gotta let go. I knew I gotta let go.
Crazy part about that whole situation was 12 hours later my father died. I didn't get to say I love you. I never got to tell him I forgive him. That memory is with me to this day. And I just hope you get this message. I forgive you.
You know, Angel, you said before that knowledge is such power, and you're so right. One of the quotes that stay with me that I try to get across to my students as well is by Alexander Pope, lived hundreds of years ago. And I think of this, and I think of my own life. To err is human, to forgive, divine. We can't move forward unless we forgive others.
For sure.
And I think that's what you're starting to talk about here.
It took me a long time to learn how to forgive. You know, when you're living that life, you think that you're above everything. You think that you own the streets, the power is yours, and you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. And that's how I lived that life. I didn't care about anything other than the power. It's when I lost everything that it made me understand how to forgive.
Believable. And I'm going to go a step further.
Sure.
How do you learn to forgive yourself? That's crucial. That's crucial.
You know what? For years, I held on to that anger. I didn't want to let go. I did not want to let go. I feel like my father should have stepped up to the plate, and he should have been there for me. So him being absent was like a way of me saying, hey, you know what? Forget you. At the end of the day, I don't need nothing from you. This is what you taught me how to be. I'm following your footsteps. You show no love. You show nothing. So here I am. I'm in those same footsteps. Okay? It's when I got shot and I had the out-of-body experience that I was able to, you know, learn how to rise and be a better person. And that's where I got the name of the book, Rise to Grace. Because it's about rising to be a better man.
Right, right. We're going to talk about grace and we're going to talk about luck. But first I have to say, and again, I got that lesson from it too. Stop blaming other people for our actions. There comes a time when we have to take responsibility and move forward. Still another lesson from you, Angel. You know, we just mentioned to err is human and to forgive divine. But so important, Angel, that we stop blaming other people for the mistakes that we are making. And many of us repeat the same mistakes. It comes a time where you have to take responsibility for your own actions and move on.
I took responsibility for my own action when I had to get up and go get me a job for the first time. All right? I had to stop putting blame on my mother, my father. I used to blame them for my life. I used to put blame on them. I used to say, I am the way I am because of my mother and father. That's not true. That is not true. You see, but you have to learn the hard way. You have to learn the hard way. And Mom, I just want you to know that, you know what, you're not, I don't blame you for anything, okay? You did an amazing job with your son. Look at where I'm at today, all right? So yeah, we struggled, and yeah, I put a lot of blame on you. But at the end of the day, you know what? Your son is a positive man, a working man, and a man who lives for life, a man who takes care of his family, you know? And Mom, I got that from you, so Mom.
That's beautiful, Angel.
Thank you very much
beautiful.
for being the mother that you are. As far as forgiveness,
Well,
okay? Yeah, as far as forgiveness, you know, one day I just grew up and said, you know what, that's it, it's over. You know, I'm responsible for me, and I have to do what I have to do to be a better man and to rise to grace.
And you learn to forgive yourself.
Absolutely.
That is crucial.
For sure.
All right. I know that you have an excellent relationship with your family members now.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about Michael. I know that you are proud of him, as I'm sure he's proud of you. But we do have to go back. Michael is your older brother, and you are looking for that father figure, and you have a problem. And Michael can be cruel, but Michael also watches out for his family. But let's first go back. What's going on with Michael, and what happened?
Well, Michael was my hero. He was an amazing young man growing up in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and he started dipping and dabbing with drugs, and that's what happens when you dip and dab with drugs.
Right,
Okay,
right.
You lose it, and from becoming my hero, he became a monster. And when I say monster, he would beat up his brothers for no reason. Like he would be on drugs and he would beat us up, and he picked on me a lot. He picked, as you read the book 7 times, you know, you always pick up something different, you know. And with Michael, for some reason, he just took out his anger out on me. But at the end of the day, nobody could touch us. Nobody from the outside could put their hands on us. Because the moment that somebody touched us and we ran to Michael,
He would protect you.
that was it. It was over.
Remember the guy that you talked about in that Flatbush Avenue apartment? Michael meets him in jail
Yes.
and takes care of him.
Michael takes care of him in jail.
Okay, now let's
Yes.
go back with Michael again. There's always some good that can come out of an incident. Michael does a horrific thing to you. He takes you, you catch him sniffing glue.
Yes.
He puts the bag over your head.
Yes.
You are ill, you go to mom, and Michael's going to retaliate about that, but you never went near drugs for yourself.
No, you know what? That actually made me hate drugs. You know, one day, well, I'm glad you mentioned that. One day, my brother Michael was sniffing glue, like you said, behind this abandoned building, and I was walking home from Metropolitan Pool. So I had to cut through the block that Michael was sitting down, and he was sniffing glue. So I see him, and he's, oh my God, Gail, he's like a madman. He's just. So the first thing I said to him, you know, I'm a little kid. You know, I said, ooh, I'm going to tell mom. You're in trouble. So my brother chases me down, okay, grabs me, brings me back to where he was sitting at, and violently puts the bag of glue over my mouth.
Oh,
And I was sniffing glue with him for about an hour.
oh my God.
After we were done, okay, because he wouldn't let me go, after we were done, he sent me off to my mother and said, now you can tell mom what I did to you. So I remember going up the stairs, and I'm like, what's happening to me? And I opened the door, and as soon as I said, Mom, she smelled the glue.
She knew.
And right there, my mom went crazy, and she ended up throwing him out. But because of things like that, made me say, I would never do drugs.
You never do your job.
It was like one day, a kid from the block was smoking a cigarette, and he said, Angel, try this. And I tried it. He's the cool guy on the block, okay? And I tried it, and I choked. And I never put a cigarette in my mouth after that again. That was it, never. You have to learn. You have to learn. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to say yes or no.
That is correct.
It's not up to your mother, your father. You are responsible for your own life. And this
actions.
message goes out to all the kids.
Right.
Stop blaming your mother and stop blaming your parents. At the end of the day, you are responsible for it.
You know, if that wasn't enough to affect your life, you are now 7 years old. Mom is going out at night, and she's going to drop you off at the babysitter's. Angel, this particular part broke my heart because when you entrust a babysitter, that's your child. Mom has no clue what is going on. But because of this incident, you were raped at age 7, and this incident changes your life and your whole attitude about women for a tremendous amount of time.
Right. I didn't know that I was being raped. Okay, I did not know that. All right, because nobody said it to me. All right, when she dropped me off, it was like going over to the babysitter's house and having fun. When she started doing what she was doing to me, I didn't think anything about it. In fact, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to go there all the time because I had no guidance. All right, without guidance, how was I supposed to know what this young lady was doing was bad? At the end of the day, it was just something that I enjoyed. And her doing that to me ended up altering my life because every time I got next to a woman, the first thing I wanted to do was have sex. That was the first thing on my mind.
Angel, you're 7 years old.
7 years old, and I'm already thinking about having sex with women because of what she did to me.
And after a while, with Tati, who was this girl's younger sister, you didn't even want to talk to her. Now it was just physical.
Right.
And that had to affect you. In fact, it does.
It did. It actually did affect me.
It does.
It affected me when I moved from Flatbush and I moved into Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Okay? And the girls that were in Williamsburg, Brooklyn looked beautiful. I'm 7, 8 years old, and I'm saying, wait a minute, like what's going on? And that's why I was very advanced for my age, because of what they did to me. And that's how I got the name Playboy Angel, because of all the women.
So upsetting, because they took away not only your innocence, but they took away the part where you're supposed to feel something for another person, the ultimate way of love. For you, it was just physical.
It was just
so
physical.
now you're 7 years old. Then you become 9 in Williamsburg. And now you're actually sleeping with one of your mother's friends.
Yes, I was actually sleeping with one of my mother's friends.
But Angel, because you are that child, and because it is physically gratifying at that age, now you're seeing women as just sexual objects.
Right.
And when you look at them, there's no respect.
Absolutely no respect. No respect at all. There was no respect. And there wasn't anybody that was stopping me. Like, these women didn't care. All right, they were like, wow, you're really advanced for your age, you know? But yet they were continuing to love me, or whatever the case may be. And because of that, I developed the name
Playboy Angel.
And
So
it came
now
from
it
the
becomes
South
a
Side.
notch on your belt.
It's all over. Like, it was like a disease. My brother came home one day and said, guess what? They're calling you Playboy Angel, Prince of the Streets.
Okay, now look what happens. You go from a child who's been bullied in school, you were different from other kids, and now you think you're getting the respect of kids on the block.
And I love that.
And
at
you
that,
love
and
it.
at that point in my life, when
I
my
saw
brother,
your body language,
when my brother
absolutely.
came to me and said, they're calling you Playboy
Playboy
Angel,
Angel.
Prince of the Streets, I had like this chip on my shoulder. I thought that it was so cool to be with all these women. But at the end of the day, there was no love, there was no passion, there was nobody teaching me.
You were violated.
I was violated.
And so was this little girl, the
Absolutely.
sister of the girl
Absolutely.
who encouraged it.
Absolutely.
I mean, things are not going to change until you meet in 1985 the beautiful Guadalupe, whom we call Smurf, Loopy, Vera, and that's going to change your life.
Yes, that actually, when I met Guadalupe, you know, and it says it in the book, so this is not something that I'm going to deny, all right? All right. I did not love Guadalupe, all right, AKA Smurf. I didn't love her. She was one of my girls that ended up getting pregnant, and at the end of the day, I always said, the first girl that steps up to me, I'm gonna make her my wife. And the one that says that she's pregnant. And Guadalupe was the one that said, I'm pregnant.
Well, we're going to continue this, but I'd like to know where people can find your book, Rise to Grace, A Genuine Street Story, and how they can find you and speak with you. Because part 2, we're going to go into the gangs, we're going to talk about the changes and what happens. So, Angel?
Well, you can find the book. And it's in every Barnes and Noble's bookstore. It's on Amazon. It's all over the internet. You can find me on Facebook. You can go to my. So you guys know, if you want to reach out to me personally, you can go on my webpage, okay, and post. You can leave me a message, and I'll contact you. That's www.risetograce.com. That's the best way to get in contact with me, and I'll have one-on-one with kids. I'm not scared to talk one-on-one with kids. I talk to, I'm a public speaker. I go to schools and I talk to the youth. So, you know, talking to a kid about my book, that's what I want to do. It's about empowering our youth. And what better way to empower our youth than to actually sit down and say, hey, guess what? This is what it's about. Now, you have a choice. The choice is you could either walk the right path or you can listen to me. Because after listening to me, you can't go, you know, to God. If you get killed in the street, you can't go to God and say, God, no one ever said it to me. Because God's going to rewind, he's going to rewind that moment when I said it to you. So there's no way out of it. After you read the book, you're trapped, okay? And that's what we want. We want to open up these kids' minds, all right? We want to teach them the reality of the streets. Rise to Grace. It's an amazing, amazing book. All right, it will empower our youth.
There's something special about Angel, to be continued. We're really digging deep into our souls today. And my next two guests are going to add to that, talking about Edwin Vazquez, and I'm talking about James Grover, who is his bass accompanist. Welcome, Edwin.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a
Oh,
privilege. and an honor.
gosh. I have to just say, you know, I give a little description about each of you, and then I'd like to carry on the theme of what we've been listening to. You are a songwriter, composer, guitarist, vocal trumpet, percussionist. I can't wait for you to do that again. You have this gypsy soul music. And Jim, you are self-made from 1991 and do vocals. You're a guitarist and just an incredible duo. So let's talk a little bit. You've been listening to this show.
Yes.
I know you did want to say something. And I'll start with you, James, because you said, I have to say something. So please feel free. Your comments.
Oh, comments. Don't you know? I have worked with Edwin in the past.
Yeah.
We started an amazing group, and it's called Sublime Groove. And I've been absent from music, but it all started from there. The taste. I've learned so much from Edwin as well, and I definitely have to talk about vocals.
Okay.
Since you brought up about vocals,
Yes, I did.
I don't really think that I've had too many vocals, but the training, definitely from this man right here,
Oh, yeah.
incredible. He has helped me since the early then, and
We don't
he's
wanna say
also
the
helped
year?
me now. Yeah, we don't want years, but it goes back. It goes back.
I know that you were honored to play with his father, and I know that he had the CD 2003 called Faith in honor of his dad, and that was a privilege.
It was.
for
It
you.
was. I actually had the CD sent to me, and I opened it up and I see my name in it, and I was, Edwin honors many.
Yes, and he's going to be honored and has been honored.
Nah,
Edwin, you came from
definitely.
Puerto Rico
Yes, I
at
do,
age
sir.
2, and you lived in where? Park Slope in Brooklyn?
Park Slope, Brooklyn, yeah.
Okay, and your music, you call it Gypsy Soul Review. Explain, what is Gypsy Soul?
Well, what I like about the word gypsy in itself is that it to me, represents a world content, referring to the fact that as a Latino here in New York, raised in New York, there are all these influences of music, even being a Latino raised in a household with bolero music, which is what my father, Roberto Vazquez, who was an amazing musician, a bolero artist, cuatro, guitarrista, offered me growing up in that household. But in New York, you can't but help but be inspired, if you're an artist, by all this beautiful music. And the authentic experience for me is Gypsy Soul, because it's a combination of all of that with me, with my experience.
Now you have performed with, and I just have to throw name dropper here, Tony Vega, Paul Simon, Mark Anthony, Tito Puente. What was that like? And give us something that no one else has heard in an interview about any one of those. I always like to get the inside story.
Okay. Well, for example, working with Paul Simon, which is, to me, this is sort of connected. Being on the same program with Angel Huertas, which is a complete privilege for me, because I feel that my life is aligned spiritually, and I feel that this show that you have, Gail, is a part of that alignment. So being here and seeing Angel here, I am very blessed and thankful to our Creator, to our being, for being here today.
You're going to make me emotional
It's
here
a part
now.
of this
You know
journey.
that.
I feel that this is really a part of this journey. So working with Paul Simon at the time is an example of that. I feel that, it intertwines. Angel's story, Paul Simon, the story was about Salvador Agron. Salvador Agron in the 50s, who was very influenced by drugs. See what I mean? We pay attention, and I really believe, you want to say God or oneness, whatever you want to call it, but I feel your show is about that, Gail, so I want to freely say, when you pay attention, you hear, just like this incredible engineer behind the camera there, and these people on the set. I was watching the interview before, and it's so beautiful to see how they're paying attention to every little detail, and that's what our lives are about. When we pay attention on a continuous basis, we will see that our lives are aligned. and we will find our purpose, like what Angel was saying earlier.
That's right.
Beautifully said, honestly. And you're making me emotional.
Thank you.
What was it like? I guess it was surreal to perform at Lincoln Center,
Yeah.
Gibson Studio. We're talking about Copacabana, the Gershwin Theater.
Yes, they were very beautiful experiences. Again, I just feel that what happens is when you connect to your bliss, to who you are, to your being, you automatically find yourself in that place where everything comes, everything shall be added onto thee. You know, we live in a society that has to do with having,
Right.
doing, and
Right,
being.
right.
I believe you have to be first.
Be first.
Do it, and it will come.
You performed with one of our favorites, Bernie Williams, Yankee,
Oh, yeah,
Hall
yeah,
of
yeah.
Famer.
Yeah.
What did that encompass? Where did you perform? What happened? And share with us.
Well, again, it's that repetition, that intertwining of experiences. I worked with a very talented artist from Puerto Rico as well, Karma, who's also a very inspiring artist. And I found myself in a place where I did the the Best Buy stores in the
Right.
city, and there they liked my music, they liked what I was doing, and then I connected with Karma. Everything all of a sudden intertwined. and
Everything comes together.
happens to-
Everything connects.
Exactly. It happens to be her cousin.
Oh,
And then he was looking
Right.
at the time to promote his nominated Grammy CD. And we were like, I have an idea. Why don't we connect them to the Best Buy stores where they're selling the CDs itself?
Look at
and
that.
we sort of formed a show out in the Bronx. And that's where we got to share that experience with Bernie Williams himself.
let's go over some of the awards that you have received. And I know that you are a very humble person, and it's not always easy to talk about yourself, but we're going to anyway.
That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
That's right.
We're talking about the Talent Recognition Award on 116th Street, the 30th anniversary of the Puerto Rican Festival. Tell us what that was about, what it felt for you.
Wow, that was an amazing experience for me because you see, as a young man, I remember seeing the festivals, Gail, and just wanting to be on that stage as a singer. You know, anyone that inspires for something would, of course, want to be on that stage if you're a singer.
It's a dream.
It's a dream.
Absolutely.
So I found myself performing there at these festivals, but I never dreamed that I would be receiving, imagine, an award. You know, that was just like, I
I've
was
heard
really
you
thrown
play,
back.
and I know the charities you do, so I can imagine. But
you.
for you, because of your humility, it is something that
Yeah.
takes you by
Thank you,
surprise. Yes?
Yes.
You're not surprised.
No,
Not in the
not at
least.
all.
Look at him. You have a new album coming out, 1111, to be released on January 11th,
Yes.
2016. Tell us about it.
1111. 1111, and this show is so appropriate as far as explaining the CD and everything because it's a spiritual show. Well, 1111 are manifestation numbers, as we know. And I, for some reason, for some time, I've run into that number. I mean, it could be at a college where I'm either going to have a conference meeting or something, and the room will be 111. It could be at a place where I'm offering at a school, a lecture or whatever, and by chance, out of nowhere, they'll say 109. I'm walking down the hall, and I'm like, and that's it there, but this is not 109. This is 111. Oh, sorry, that was the room.
Luck?
You know, so
Well,
it's always
great.
like running into
Right.
that. And I posted it on Facebook the numerous amount of times that I've taken. After a while, you start taking pictures.
Unbelievable. All right,
Yeah.
MFSP Award, and J.W. Cortez from Gotham. I was going to be on Gotham.
Oh.
Allergic to latex. Got a dead part,
Oh.
dead body part,
Oh,
and
okay.
couldn't do it. But tell me about it, because that was with Paul
Calderon.
Calderon?
Yeah.
Okay, share a little bit about that, please.
Well, you know, again, it's one of those, right, James? It's those experiences
Yeah.
that just
Yeah, yeah.
happen where, you know, you always got to remember your journey as you're elevating this very beautiful journey that we're on.
And I'm proof too,
Yeah.
because I see it.
You see,
I
okay.
always see it. I'm with Edwin in the car. We always see it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Are you looking for it?
No.
Is it that, so share, why?
My watch. My watch died The battery died at 11:11.
Oh, wow, that was a big one. I forgot that one.
Right. So I never changed the battery. I left it like that, and I
just got the chills.
Yeah.
I just leave it like that. I wear it as a show, and if anybody wants to know a story about it, that's what I tell them.
That's
It's the
what you
truth.
tell them about
I
it.
can't believe it. I mean, the second hand was actually going towards to hit at 12 soon in
And it
about
stopped.
11 seconds, which is kind of weird too. I didn't realize it.
So in January, we're going to be able to purchase this CD.
Yes,
And it's 1111.
Yeah.
Last item, because we're going to have you back the next show, Telemundo.
Telemundo.
Fashion expert, Marilu Fontanez.
Marilu Fontanez, yeah.
Yes, tell us a little bit about that, because that was such fun for you.
Yeah, it was. We did the B.B. King performance in New York.
Love B.B.
And we
King.
gave our own concert, which was my first concert there, and it was just absolutely amazing. The response we had, the people that came out. I invite everyone to please go to the site and see some of the footage. 'cause it was-
Tell them where they can find this.
yeah, it's at edwinvazquez.com. That's V-A-Z, not V-A-S. Edwinvazquez.com, and make sure and go to the B.B. King link performance piece, and you'll see the reaction. And the beautiful thing is that everyone at the show is always like, "There's so much love in this room. You know, it feels so good." And that's what I want to bring. I feel that's what you bring. That's what we bring. That's what it's
Thank you.
about.
That's what
And
we
healing.
elevate towards.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, and I definitely just want to take a moment to thank Marilu Fontanez for definitely reaching out and believing in me. As a matter of fact, she had the idea of naming the album 1111 because of my experience. So I want to thank you so much.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm holding up the CD.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Want to make sure that people can still purchase this.
Yes.
And again,
yes.
in honor of your dad. And what two songs are you going to be performing today?
Well, I'm thinking of doing one from there. There's a Spanish version there, and I'm gonna. We're on the next album. We're doing a Spanish and an English version of the album.
Like that.
So because of that, I'm gonna do the English version of one of the songs there called Warishe. Warishe Igunaru means woman, you're beautiful. In Taino, which is part of my Puerto Rican ancestry, as far as being Taino, European, African, having all that background, lineage. You know? So yeah, I'll do Warishe, and then the other song is a song I feel very appropriate for this. Here's Give Me a Chance, which is, I just feel a very appropriate song since you're communicating healing and all that.
Well, I just can't wait, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I want to thank Gail for having us today, me and James Grover. And Angel Huertas, your story was very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing it with all of us. I noticed you said you asked for a chance. Well, this song is called Give Me a Chance. We all need a chance. Intoxicated by the image, prisoner of our own mind, trying hard to reach the finish, almost there, but not quite. Let's rehearse now for a minute. This time we might just get it right. I'd like to see if we can limit the insecurities tonight. I'd like to do away with mirrors for just a day, if you don't mind. Lord, believe that I am beautiful. chance this time. Chance. We see the fear and speculation. We hear the judgments in the mind. One can feel the isolation making its way from behind. I want you to know that I get worried. I want you to know that I pretend. I like to see if we can bury the expectations and make amends. I like to do away with mirrors and really see you in the end. I'd like to believe that I am beautiful. Someone you try with, but how can I make you see that I am beautiful? If you've already made up your mind, how about a chance this time? Chance this time. This is to be on the 1111 album. It's called Warishe Unaru. Women, you're beautiful. Warishe Igunaru warishet hikunaru. Hey. Your name has sailed the distant seas, through acid rains and onto cemented streets, into a city of electric stars, onto grounds covered with tar. Stunning scene, raining skies on skate sands and palm trees. Your cinnamon-colored skin speak of a sacred sun. What is shared with your name?